We left off in our last class talking about the lies in the textbooks, things that kids have to face every day in school. They faced them today. Things that have been proven wrong many years ago. Some people would like kids to believe in evolution. They want them to believe that we all came from a rock 4.6 billion years ago, and they have to give them some evidence. One of the evidences presented in just about every textbook is this one right here. This textbook says we have evidence of evolution from micro or molecular biology. Now, what do they mean by that? Well, molecular, of course, means at the molecule level, very, very, very tiny. And biology is the study of life. Bio means life. Ology means the study of. So they're saying the study of extremely small branches of life, the molecules, gives evidence for evolution. Well, now, does it really?
Okay, if you can be on the program, 850-479-DINO, extension 136. And I forgot to mention, Jonathan, we're the folks who believe the Bible is literally true and scientifically accurate, and the evolution theory being taught in our schools is the dumbest and most dangerous religion in the history of planet Earth.
Which is usually said before every segment.
And I love saying that. It is so fun. Pushes the buttons on the poor evolutionists that love this theory because it really gives them freedom from God. That's the only reason you'd want that theory like that.
Speaking of pushing buttons, I just pushed the button would bring our good friend Jared on the air now.
Jared, good to have you back.
Hi, Kent. Yeah, I managed to get your evolution is the dumbest theory comment in right before I got to say anything.
And honestly, I didn't know it was you, Jared. But had I known it was you, I certainly would have said it.
It was almost like a psychic connection. You know, just pushing my buttons.
Call me now, Miss Cleo. Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay, so let's just finish up this Barney Maddox issue because I want to get that over with.
Okay.
Okay. So this article that's on creationevidence.org.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This guy has a BS from my alma mater, actually, Texas Christian University.
Now, when you say BS, you mean Bachelor in Science, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say.
A lot of people have BS, but that's okay.
Always kind of a double entendre. And he has a medical degree. He does not have a PhD, and he does not have a master's. So...
Wait, I think a medical degree is not a PhD?
It's not a PhD. They're different.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So, first of all, that's highly suspicious to me whenever this guy starts talking about genome research, because researchers almost universally have PhDs. That's the purpose of the degree.
Don't you think it would be smart for a medical doctor to be involved in genome research? I mean, hello?
No, I don't.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
Doctors are very often ignorant on things outside of their specific area.
Oh, everybody's ignorant on something, just on different things.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in general, like what they're good at is practice. It's not about scientific research.
And I'm not sure they're good at the practice, but go ahead.
Okay. Also, he does not mention what his role, if any, was in any kind of genome research. He doesn't give any citations for any involvement whatsoever.
Okay, now why would any of this matter? All I did was read what he said. Now you're trying to discredit the witness, is that...
You listed him as the leading genome researcher.
Okay, and that isn't that... I don't have the article in front of me.
I don't want to call you a liar on the air, Kent, but I mean...
That's what the article said from Creation Evidence, if I recall. This has been years ago I got this. The article was written like 92 or 3, wasn't it? The genome research had been going on for like 4 or 5 years at the time. Is that correct, Jared?
I'm not quite sure when the project itself started.
Yeah, 88 is when it started.
But when I went to the Human Genome Project site and looked up his name, I couldn't find a single reference to it. So as far as I can tell, he had no involvement in that project whatsoever.
Okay, I guess you'll have to take that up with Carl Baugh, who has the article on his website. I just referenced to it.
Yeah, but if you're going to try to use this as a point against evolutionary theory to your audience, you really need to be careful whenever you label somebody as a leading researcher in a field of...
Well, okay, valid point. You may be correct on that. Now, is it true, though, that it doesn't take much, it could be as much as only one problem in the gene code to cause an organism to die, or abort, I guess, to not be born?
Yeah, this is the whole point that I've tried to make before, which is that there's a very big difference between saying 3 nucleotide changes can result in a fatality for an organism's development, like in vitro, and that 3 nucleotides is often or usually or always the case that it causes that. Those are very, very different assertions.
Well, last time
he tries to give the impression that it's almost always or very, very often.
I asked you the question, is it possible that just one genetic problem can cause fatality?
A single base pair mutation?
Is it possible just a single one would do it?
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it were possible in a very specific place, but it's irrelevant. Because, as we've said before, mutations happen all over the human DNA, and it doesn't cause fatalities. It happens all the time, every single generation.
Oh, right, I understand, sure. Yeah. Every one of us has probably as many as 3,500 defective genes.
It's not just defective genes, but like every single generation, there are mutations that include more than 3 nucleotides, on average.
Okay, but Barney Maddox...
We're not dying left and right.
Okay, is it true that there are 48 million differences between humans and chimpanzees when they thought... I don't know if it's true or not. It's possible, sure. Okay, that's when they thought the difference was only 1.6%. Now that it's up to 7.7% difference, it ought to be a lot bigger number.
But here's a funny thing to consider about that. When they talk about this difference, are they referring to DNA that codes for proteins, or are they talking about non-coding DNA?
I don't know. Maybe Jonathan could answer that. He's been reading up on that stuff.
I think you would have to consider all of it, because when
I don't think so.
Why not? I mean, non-coding DNA, you're talking about the so-called junk DNA, which is not. I mean, after all the successive studies in the last few years, it shows, it's obvious that it's not junk. It's not just floating around doing nothing.
I didn't say it was doing nothing, but it doesn't code.
Well, you're okay.
Proteins.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, it's not coding for proteins right there, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't be involved in expressing differences between two completely different genomes.
If you took the genome of a species, like Homo sapiens, and you removed the non-coding portions, you would produce a viable embryo.
I don't know. You might want to check out Discover Magazine, just, I think, in November of last year. They did that. They took out the so-called junk DNA in mice organisms.
Oh, and they were severely deformed. There's pictures of them and everything.
Jacked these little guys up. I mean, it was bad.
They were real. They would not have survived in nature. Had to keep them alive in the laboratory.
Okay. First of all, I would question if they did it right, because it took them several hundred tries to get Dolly to clone, for instance.
277. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm not convinced that they did this accurately. I had to be convinced of that first.
Now, wait a minute. You start off by calling in saying Barney Maddox is not qualified as a medical doctor, and here you are as a mathematician giving advice to these people doing cloning. I mean,
I'm just doing simple logic. I'm saying if you got non-coding DNA and you take it out, it shouldn't affect what gets coded.
Well, that's another problem there, because non-coding DNA is taken out in places. For instance, I believe in the RNA transcription, little pieces are taken out to activate other options. I mean, it's just like if you have two magnets that are just about 3 feet from each other, once you take out the space between them, you now have a magnetic connection. So that's not, the exact example there, but it does serve some function, at least as a placeholder, to keep things from prematurely activating. So, I mean, that's my whole argument. Well, it is the case. You can check it out.
I'm going to research this, actually, but even if that were the case, it would still corroborate what I'm about to say, which is that if you've got two different genomes you're comparing, and you're trying to figure out what the differences between them and what differences are significant, important to realize that if mutations happen in the non-coding regions, and those things don't get expressed morphologically, then the term like percent difference all of a sudden has an ambiguous meaning. If you changed all the junk DNA in humans to where they're like 50% different, does that mean that it's like not a human anymore?
Well, let me rephrase that for the audience here. If you find evidence that doesn't fit the evolution theory, it doesn't matter. If you find evidence that fits the evolution theory, we'll count that.
What are you talking about, Ken? That has nothing to do with life.
That's what you're implying here. Come on.
No, it's not. It has nothing to do with it.
Okay. Well, I think it does.
What I'm saying has nothing even to do with evolution at all. I haven't even brought up evolution yet.
Nature Magazine, May 27, 2004, 1 year ago. They said the difference is now 7.7. We're done. Call in tomorrow, Jared. Call in earlier. Sorry about the call. Still long, folks. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.